everybody. Welcome to the Ziegler Art Museum weekly art project based on our weekly spotlight. We want to thank everybody for joining us today. And like usual, we're just going to kind of chit chat a little bit as we wait for some people to join us. I want to start off, of course, thanking our sponsors. We couldn't bring any of this programming to you without our sponsors. So just another shout out to Mr. Richard Boyster, Home Bake, Safe Haven, Bubba Ostelet. When you guys get a chance, support our sponsors because it's because of businesses like this that we're able to bring this to you. So let's get started. This week's spotlight, let me grab that picture, is another piece by William Tolliver. And I know, let me move that out of our way for now. I know we've done a William Tolliver before. In fact, I think he was our first one in our new Spotlight series. Was it Tolliver? Is that right?
Yes.
Bailey? Okay. We did violinist, that's right. So this is one of his landscapes, and it's actually a very tiny piece. When you see it in person, it's about this size. But we absolutely love it. And what I want you guys to notice is the texture. And I don't know how well we can see it with this photocopied piece right here, but the picture, the painting itself has a lot of texture and beautiful, rich colors. And something that I didn't, I'm going to admit this, don't tell my boss, but I didn't even notice that there's actually a couple having a picnic underneath the tree here. I didn't notice that until I saw our coloring page for this week, which we posted this morning. So go over there, download that.
It's so small in the video. You might hold it a little closer so they can see.
So they can even see.
They're just a couple brush strokes.
Can you see
They're so small.
Can you see them?
Yeah.
They're right there, but you can really see it. Bailey did a wonderful job on the coloring sheet, so highly recommend that this week. So go check that out on our Facebook. So we've talked about Tolliver before, so I won't get too much into him. Although I did this week hear a story, and I think Ms. Tisha shared it when we first talked about it, is that Tolliver, when he was a child, and I don't know if I do this with, we used to do it when my kids were younger, his mother, Tolliver's mother, would have drawing contests between himself and his mom and one of his brothers. I believe he was one of 14 kids. I don't know which of the brothers, but so I'd love to know if you guys do that at your house. Do you guys do drawing contests where, do your kids ever come up to you and say, hey, which of these is better? I always had a really hard time picking. I always say both, and they never liked the answer, but I thought that was a cute little story from Tolliver. So today we are doing sponge painting trees, and I'm going to be doing a fall color. I love fall. It's my favorite season. And I'm hoping to maybe entice the weather to become more fall-like early. But I wanted to show you guys some other examples of trees because you don't have to do the fall colors. And when we go through supplies, I'll tell you the difference here. Here's not the best picture, but a picture of just some beautiful greens with the beautiful sky in this landscape here. Oh, hi. Oh, Tom is here today, and Glinda, Dorothy. Hi, everybody. I'm going to throw my papers around. But I also wanted to show you these beautiful cherry blossoms. So if you wanted to do these pinks instead of the fall colors, it would be just as beautiful. I'm really excited. I love trees. I love sponge painting. We're going to get a little messy today, so make sure, kiddos, you guys are wearing something that your parents won't mind you getting messy. And adults too, be careful that we're using acrylic today. It's not washable. So let's talk about supplies. I will be using the same paper I always use. It's a heavy-duty drawing paper. This example was actually done on canvas paper. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a very thick paper, and I love the look of it. But if you don't have acrylic or oil paper, it's fine. A nice thick drawing paper, or even a cardstock. I believe Miss Tisha did one of her projects on cardstock, and it worked out just fine. Here is another one I threw together. A little less detail, but I wanted you guys to see it. This is done on that regular paper. So what you'll notice is that when it dries, it kind of curls like that, but I'm not going to be too worried about that, okay? We're doing fun art, not fine art. So you're going to need your paper. You see my awesome brush? I really wish I had a class of kids right now because I know that they would absolutely love the fact that my brush is as big as my paper. If you have a big flat brush, that's amazing. We're going to use it today. If you don't, you'll definitely get by. It's just going to be a little longer. Oh, hi, Shirley. Nice to see you. I'm so glad you guys are here. So if you have a nice big long flat brush, we're going to use that today. If not, it's just going to take you a little longer to paint your background, okay? And of course, Miss Jessica's very favorite medium round brush. I love it. I love it for everything. It's really great for watercolors, but we're going to use it today. We're not going to use it off very much, but this is what we're going to paint our trees with. Okay, let's talk about the paints today, okay? Because I'm normally using watercolors, and I do that because I feel like most people have watercolors at home, but we're going to play with acrylics today. I am using artist quality acrylics. If you happen to just have the craft acrylics, the little apple barrel paints, they will work just fine. They're going to dry a little faster for you, and they're not going to be quite as thick. You're going to notice it's a little runnier, but it will work just fine with the sponging, I promise. So these two, I believe these are the Michaels brand, this titanium and the Mars black. But most of my colors, I'm actually just using these acrylics, and you can pick these up at Walmart. So they're available at Walmart, big sets or smaller sets. I'm using a light blue and a green today, black and white, of course. I'm using a light brown, and then because I'm doing fall colors, these are the 3 colors I picked. Now, this is where you guys get to be creative. We just need 3 colors for your trees. We need a dark color, which is my crimson right here. Let's see, it's upside down for you guys. So we need a dark color, a medium color, and a light color. And these are the 3 I chose. This reddish crimson color, this orange, and this deep yellow. But you could certainly pick 3 different pinks, a dark pink and a light pink and a medium pink. Or you could go really crazy and do a rainbow trees. I'd love to see that. This right here is a piece of palette paper. It comes in a pad of paper. I think you can pick these up at Walmart. And it's just a kind of a waxy sheet of paper that lays flat, and I'm going to use this as my palette. You may have a paper plate, or you have an actual palette. Either one, anything will work. We're going to need water. Of course, I got my trusty water and my sponge. I don't know if you guys noticed, I don't have very much water on my rinse side. I really want to be able to get that to wipe off the chunky paint onto the sponge, so there's not a lot of water in there. And then, of course, oh, you're going to need some kind of a rag or paper towel to wipe your stuff off, okay? And then, of course, we need the sponge. The sponge is nothing fancy, all right? This is literally one of the sponges that I use in my bowls that I've decided to retire. And what I'm going to do is, kids, you might want to have your parents do this. Parents, if you guys are listening, I just want to kind of round this sponge so I don't accidentally get squares in my trees. So just real quickly, we're just going to run. It doesn't have to be a certain size. It's actually bigger than I would normally use. I'm going to cut it down a little, actually. So you can get a lot out of these cheap sponges. And these sponges, I think you get like 5 for $1. Just the cheap sponges. You don't have to use an expensive sponge. So we're going to use that. All right. All right. Are we ready to get going? What you think, Miss Bailey? Is it time to go? You have any fun facts? Or oh, wait a second. Miss Tisha's going to want us to get through some of this information. I want to let you guys know, we do a drawing every week. We have now moved that to Tuesdays instead of Mondays. You guys are going to get a bonus day. So we'll continue to remind you Monday. But what we're hoping is that maybe some of you are doing the art projects over the weekend, and this will give you a chance to get it shared and get into that drawing for free prizes. Don't forget to like and comment. Share our posts so that somebody you know may really enjoy watching it and it may not pop up on their feed. So go ahead and share it and let everybody see. And if you have any questions, just let us know.
All right, let's answer them live.
That's right. All right, if we're still live. So yes. I know you guys can't see all of this. Let's go ahead. I'm going to kind of move this to the side. Well, let's talk about the trees real quick. So this is what we're painting. We're going to do a simple landscape. We're going to have a horizon line. We're going to do the sky and the ground. And then in the middle area, we're going to do our trees, okay? And I do want you to know that you can make this project super simple, which is how we're going to be painting it today. Or you can really take your time and get some detail, do some shading and some highlights, and get way more detailed. So this is something that you can kind of make. You can make it fit whatever skill level you're comfortable with, okay? So let's get started. We are going to start by painting our backgrounds. And we're not even gonna pick up a pencil today. We are gonna go straight to painting. Let me get my stuff out of my way here, my goodness. So I'm gonna start off by putting some black on my palette. I use black to darken my colors. You might need a little more paint than you think, but if you run out, that's all right, just put more on. And I'm gonna put some white, because I'm gonna mix white in a lot of colors too. We're gonna do a fun applying of paint, something called the double load technique. I'm very excited to show you. And I'm gonna start, since we're starting our background, I'm gonna do the sky first because it's at the top. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some of my blue out here. And I'm just gonna put it right here in the middle of these two colors. Uh-oh. All right. So now remember, we've talked about this before. When you're doing a horizon line, your colors are going to be lighter the closer you get to the horizon line. So darker at the top for the sky, and it's going to get lighter and lighter as we get to the horizon. And then when we start to do the ground, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to do the light colors at the top by the horizon and get darker as we go. So you're going to pick up your big flat brush or the biggest brush you have. My brush is slightly damp. Don't be afraid to use water. Acrylics are water soluble, so it'll really help, especially if your paints aren't smoothing very well. So right now, because we're doing just the top of the thing, I'm going to pick up just straight blue. I'm not going to mix any color. I don't know if you guys can see how I'm kind of moving my brush around. What I'm doing is I'm really pushing that paint up into my brush so I don't have to load it as often, okay? And I'm going to turn my paper, because I always do, and I'm going to start to paint across here. And I'm going to start just at the top because it's nice and dark. See, I still didn't even pick up enough. And it really depends on what type of paper you have as to how much paint it's going to take. So if you have like a canvas paper, it's really going to soak up a lot of paint. I'm going to do a little more of just the darker. We're just trying to get the color on the paper. I don't have enough water in my paintbrush. Watch how that water really helps that paint smooth out a little more. You see that? All right, so now that I'm about halfway done with my sky, I want to start lightening my color. And I know most of you probably know how to take paint and mix it together on your palette, but I don't want us to do that. We're gonna do something a little different today. We're gonna pick up both colors. So I'm gonna come over here to my white. Make sure you guys can see this. I'm gonna pick up my white, but do you see how it's only on about half of my brush? So now, I should have done the opposite way. I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna pick up some more blue. It'll mix a little bit, that's all right. So I'm gonna put the white on the bottom. Do you see how it's facing me? Because that's where I know the color, I want it to be a little lighter. And we're gonna actually mix these colors right on the paper. Do you see how that happens? See what happens? So play around with it. See what happens when you pick up these colors together.
Like magic.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pick up a little more water because it's not smoothing too easily. Careful with the water though, especially if you're using paper and not canvas. Your paper will start to really buckle. Look at how, isn't that great? You see how that worked? Now, keep going. I'm not gonna worry about too much. Remember that, oh, do you see my big white streak? That's all right, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna, there you go. And now I'm gonna pick up even more white, and I'm gonna start to be a little more careful. I'm gonna do a line of white here, and I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do, because I'm gonna come back and add a little bit of blue. Okay, so I got a big white there. So there's many different ways for you to mix colors. So I definitely don't want to discourage you from mixing your colors on your palette, because that's a great way to learn about how colors mixing. But I really want to encourage you, I'm gonna wash my brush off real quick, pick up just some water. I really want to encourage you to play with putting those colors on your brush and mixing them on your paper. Do you see how much dimension and difference it makes? I love it. So, all right, now we're gonna do the same thing with the green. So I'm gonna I'm brushing it off on the sponge, getting most of that color off. This is why you need a paper towel or a towel. Let me get some green on my palette. And I'm gonna do it close to this. All right, so for this one, we do lighter at the top and we're gonna get darker as we go down, okay? So I'm gonna start by trying not to get any blue, just my white and some green. And let's see what happens when we put that on the paper. Do you see how it's blending together? Very cool. I like it. I'm gonna pick up some more. So it's gonna give you a lot of dimension in your artwork. Oh, got a little too dark up there. Do you know what I'm gonna have to do? Oh, just gonna have to pick up some white and try to lighten that up. So mine's not perfectly straight. That's all right. Maybe there's a few hills back there. And it's okay if there's still some light in some darker areas, because it kind of makes it look like your grass is like rolling, which is beautiful. So I'm gonna do a little less white, a little more green now, and start to get a deeper color, because as these things, as you're painting down your page, these things are actually getting closer to you or the viewer of your art. So those colors, they're richer and more saturated. As you see, I'm having problems. I keep touching my paper. I'm a rough painter. It's moving everywhere. Remember, if you're having problems spreading out your paint, just add a little bit of water and see if that helps you. And this is just the solid green down here. It's a great grass color. I may not have enough paint on my... Ooh, it's moving around like crazy, huh, guys?
So I tip for people at home, if your paper is strong enough, if you have some like thick watercolor paper, you can tape it down with some painter's tape.
Yes, you can. I don't like to do that because I move my paper so much to paint. Sometimes in my classes, I will tape the kids' paper down to another piece of paper so that it still stays strong, but they can move it. So, what do you think, guys? We got a little darker spot over here. I think maybe our sun must be coming down from there. All right, I love it. So this is the time where if it takes you a little longer, just pause the video once. You can't pause it now because we're live, but you can pause it later while you're doing it. And then you can finish up your, ooh, this big old crazy brush is getting away from me. But we're actually done with the big crazy brush. So when you're done with your background, you can go ahead and put that to the side, okay? Now, ideally, I'd let this dry a little longer. And if you're using craft paints, it's probably almost completely dry anyway. Oh, excuse me, guys. But we're just gonna go anyway. So I'm getting out the brown because now we're doing our trunks. Now, I'm using what's called light brown, but it's really a very, very reddish color. So I'm going to be mixing some black into it to darken it up. And I'm gonna show you, I'm actually gonna mix that here on my palette, okay? So I'm gonna pick up some of my black, put it onto the side right here, pick up some brown, probably most of that brown. That may have been too much black. Let's come down here. But that's okay. If I get it too dark, I can just get some and add some white to it. That was yeah, there we go. Ooh, I like that nice dark brown there.
It's rich.
Yep, nice, rich, looks like dark chocolate. All right, so we are gonna start to paint our trees. And we're just gonna paint them. We're not gonna draw them on, okay? In this page, I have 5 trees going across. I'm not gonna do 5. This is a smaller piece of paper, so I'll probably do the 3 like this. But you guys get to decide. What I wanna suggest to you is that if you're right-handed, start on the left side of your paper so that your hand goes this way and you don't mess up your trees or put fingerprints in your grass like I just did. But if you're left-handed, of course, you can do it the opposite direction, whatever's more comfortable for you, okay? So I'm gonna start with my paint. And you can see I've got a ton of paint on my brush. I'm gonna start at the top and I'm just gonna do a line. And it doesn't have to be a straight line. It doesn't have to be a really wiggly line, but I want my trees to go all the way up here, right? And I'm gonna just bring my brush. Now if you notice, did you notice how I'm showing you guys I'm painting and I'm putting my brush sideways? Do you see how thick that line is? If you take your brush and point it up and down, you're gonna get a finer point. You see that? So, kind of play with that. Right now I'm just doing a straight line. And I think my trees are gonna go about there. But most trees aren't really that shape, right? They usually get a little thicker at the bottom. And I love trees because you don't have to do straight lines. And Miss Jessica doesn't do straight lines very well. So there we go, we have a trunk of a tree. Now we've done, excuse me, I'm so sorry, Miss Jessica needs a drink of water. I apologize. Show everybody my awesome goat cup. I love it. All right. So now we're gonna do some branches, and we've done branches in the past. And I want to just remind you, your branches they don't really go completely straight out to the side. They almost go up and to the side a little bit. And you're gonna want thinner, smaller ones at the top. Remember, you put your paintbrush up and down to get that smaller line. just like that. And do you see how it's pretty skinny on the outside, but then as it gets closer to the trunk, you're getting a little thicker. And this tree is really close to the edge of my paper, so I'm gonna make one of it go all the way off the edge. I'm gonna just paint off to the edge right there. I like to paint off my edge. That's why you need a table covering, okay? And I'm gonna add another branch here. I don't want you guys to be too worried about your branches, okay? Because we are putting a bunch of leaves on them. But this is a great time to practice those branches. Now see, that one got a little more, yeah, there we go. And then I'm gonna flatten my brush out a little more so I get that big stroke. And maybe another one. Oh, Miss Bailey just got me some more water. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's all this talking. You'd think I'd be used to talking a lot.
We do talk all day.
All right, I'm gonna pick up some more. And after we do our trees, I'm gonna show you some things that you guys can do to kind of fancy your picture up. But right now we're gonna just stick with this nice chocolate brown. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's keep going. Let's add another tree. I'm gonna pick up some more paint. I'm gonna start with my brush up and down so I really get that nice point. And then as I come down here, I'm gonna bring my brush down and look at how my line got bigger. Isn't that great?
Mm-hmm.
Practice your strokes like that. Sometimes you just, if you sit there with just some blank paper and some paint, maybe paint that if it's not your favorite color, something you just want to use up, and really practice pressing different ways on your brush. It's really quite fun. All right, I'm gonna add some more branches up here. Do one right there. This one's kind of still pretty skinny at the top. How about we make that a little thicker? Make that a nice thick oak tree. I'm gonna get a little water in my brush, my paint. It's getting a little thick. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start here, go out. All right, and it's okay to overlap. I'll show you how this one might overlap with that other tree. I'm gonna bring it all the way out over here. So it's okay if your branches overlap each other. It'll look really cool. And just keep doing some more. Ooh. Oh, my paint's at the bottom of my brush. There we go. All right. And if you, like I said, you can get really fancy here and you can do lots and lots of branches, or you can just do a few branches. This is completely up to you and your style and really how you feel today. Do you want a tree that has lots of branches? It's up to you.
I like doing curly branches sometimes. Oh. They're all like twisted, like Tim Burton kind of.
Those are cool.
Like
I love trees. I do. I love haunted trees. I love to see. Fall is my favorite season, so you get those cool colors and those. And the trees down here, we're very lucky down here in Louisiana. The live oak trees, they're just beautiful. I had never seen a live oak tree before I moved down here. But to see them with their branches that come all the way down to the ground, it's just absolutely beautiful. This is more like just a regular oak tree. I guess I would call this kind of an oak tree, I think. Because it's got the nice dark trunk. Running out of my brown here. Sometimes that happens, and that's all right. I will just make more if I run out completely. But I think I've got enough here. Ooh, that was a really big trunk. How about there we go. Again, don't worry if you do a couple mess ups. I promise by the time we put our leaves on it, you guys aren't even gonna notice, okay? So don't worry too much about mistakes. They're just happy accidents, and we'll see what happens with them. Mm-hmm. I feel every time I paint a tree, I just wanted to call it a happy little tree. But I wonder, did Bob Ross patent that saying? Is he the only one who gets to say that? I don't know.
I wonder if we'll get slapped with a copyright.
Right? I don't know. I'm sorry if it's true, but no. My trees are kind of happy.
I'm sure he would want us all to think about happy little trees.
I wanted to add one more big branch here. And I think I actually might, yeah. There we go. And I added that really huge branch just to really fill up my page, okay? You guys could definitely add more trees if you want. That is completely up to you. Remember, if you are adding more trees and you add more trees, say, behind these trees, you'll want to make them smaller because they're a little farther away from you, okay? All right, So I think we are ready to start the fun stuff. Not that this wasn't fun, but we are done with our brushes. So go ahead and put your brush in your water. You're using acrylic paint, so you definitely want to put your brush in a water, not just off to the side, so your brush doesn't get ruined. Don't listen, okay? So I still have plenty of white and black I'm going to leave on there. But now I'm going to put my tree colors, okay? And again, if you're doing the fall look with me, we're going to use a red first. We're going to go from darkest to lightest, okay? So I'm putting my dark color and probably a little more paint than you think you need because your sponge is going to soak some of it up, okay? And then I'm going to do an orange as my medium color. And yellow for my light color. But some of you, like I said, you might be doing purples, you might, oh my goodness. It's a brand new paint, look at that. All right. Ooh, that one. I made a mess. Told you, we're getting messy today. All right, you guys, here we go. So, it might definitely help if you have some scrap paper or even your table covering, and I'm going to show you why. So, here's my sponge. And now I'm going to take this sponge. Let me pull this over here so you can see it. And I'm going to just smush my paint around onto my sponge. Then I'm going to look and see, is my sponge pretty covered up? And it is, okay? But before you stamp it onto your paper, what I want you to do is one time stamp it somewhere else. I'm going to just stamp it right here because I have enough room. And if you notice, it's going to just take all of the big chunks off. And now we're ready to go. All right. So what I'm going to do is when I'm looking at the tree, where do your leaves go on your tree? Leaves are usually on your branches, right? So I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to kind of follow my branches and I'm going to start pushing it down. Okay, you don't have to push too hard. The harder you push, the less bubbles, you get more solid color. So I'm not pushing too hard, but I had plenty on my sponge to do that one tree. I might do a little darker, but we'll see. So now I'm coming back over, right? Picking up some more paint. Remember, one time on the paper, on the scrap piece of paper before you move to your picture, okay? And again, remember our trees overlapped a little and that's cool, I don't care. I actually like the overlap look. So everywhere you have a branch, when you run out of paint, come get more. So everywhere I have a branch, I'm gonna just start putting in leaves. You see how it's starting to look like leaves? And you really could use just one color. If you only had the one color, that is absolutely fine. Or if you really only have one color, you can add a little black to some of it to darken it, and then a little white, if you know, in it to lighten it. And there you go, you have 3 colors. I'm picking up some extra paint because I want to use it all up. I told you we're gonna use a lot of paint. All right. Ooh. So there's our first layer.
I even like just the red.
Just the red. It is beautiful. Just the and if that's how you like it, you just want that one color, then absolutely go for it. I'm just gonna kind of one more time try to get some of that color off. Oop. Oh, we're just gonna ignore that. Maybe that's some leaves that fell.
Perfect.
All right. So now we're gonna move into our medium color, and I'm using orange, and I'm just gonna use the same sponge. Okay. So I'm just gonna do the same thing. When you first started out is when you're kind of spreading that paint around. And I'm going to kind of just get some of that extra off. And I'm going to go right over the reds. Right over it. Oh, you see how kind of dark that was? That's okay. I don't mind. All right. So what we're doing is we're starting to add a lot of depth to our trees. Right? Ooh. I love this kind of painting. It's so rewarding. You get a great look without a lot of effort. Because you got to admit, this is pretty easy and pretty fun. And it just turns out amazing. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys about the trunks. I'll show you at the end about getting fancy with your trunks. I'm sorry, guys. I was so excited to get to the fun part. I'm making quite a mess on my palette, but I don't mind. All right. So then when you are happy with the amount of orange on there, look at what a difference just that orange makes. It's time for the yellow. And I'm just going to find a clear spot on my palette to kind of stamp off some of that. You could definitely do it on your side paper too. All right. So now it's time for yellow. And again, using that same sponge, I'm gonna spread it around, try to get some of that. There we go. Ready? All right. See how that kind of just makes like a highlight? It almost reminds me of ketchup and mustard together.
Make me hungry.
See? All right, and if you notice, I'm not putting quite as much of the yellow as I did on the other colors. I'm just doing a little lighter, but that's just because that's how I like it. But if you want more red than you do yellow, or more yellow than you want red, again, these are your trees. You're the creator, so you get to make them. Look at that.
Wow.
Isn't that fun? What a fun and easy project.
Love it.
So you could be done. If you want to be done, you are done. And congratulations, you have these beautiful trees to show off. But I forgot, I was going to show you guys how to make your trees a little more realistic, okay? And let's look at this one. So if you notice here, these trees all are a little lighter on the side here. Do you see that? And that's because in my vision, when I painted this, the sun was over here, and that's where the light was kind of hitting it. So you notice that on the other side, they're all dark, but they're all the same, so that you can really tell where the light is coming from. So if you take the brown that you used and add some white to it, let me get my brush and just see if I have any brown that's still awake and available. Not really. That's all right. I'll just get some more. Not a lot, because I'm just gonna, we're not gonna do the whole picture. I just kind of want to show you. So I'm gonna pick up some white and mix it into that brown. And now we have a much lighter tone or tint to that color. And now you'll want to do this before you do the leaves, guys. I'm so sorry. I was so excited to do the leaves. But what you'll do is you'll just lightly highlight your tree. And you decide what side your light is coming from. And that would be the side that you would highlight. Okay? And then you can get really fancy. I mean, you can go back in here and put some grass at the bottom. I really liked that look here. I think, oh, I don't know where Miss Tisha's is. Miss Tisha put a beautiful picnic basket on hers. It was gorgeous. But yes.
Oh, the picnic blanket?
The picnic blanket is what I meant, yes. Let's see, I'm going to show. Shh, don't tell her. She didn't want to show anybody, but I think she did a fabulous job. I love it. She had this big blank spot, and it was just the perfect spot for a picnic blanket. Miss Tisha is not done with this picture. This is kind of her underpainting. She's still painting it. So don't tell her I showed it to you guys already. But, so it is up to you to really personalize this and make it the level of project that you are comfortable with.
A fun challenge for anyone painting along at home. Maybe if you do like those highlights from the light source, you could have like some long shadows. Like
absolutely. So that's something I didn't add, is shadowing. So definitely great challenge. The kiddos, those that you guys have done this a lot, you know, if your light's coming from one way, right, your shadows are going to come off from the other direction. So I would love to see some trees with some shadowing. But please remember that even if you do just this, look at how fun and pretty it turned out. This is a super quick, super simple project. I hope you guys had a blast. I think that I've covered about everything. This one seems kind of quick today, but like I said, get some paper out and start seeing what else can you make with sponges. What other things they could be used for bushes. Anything that has a lot of texture. Sheep, we could do sheep.
I was gonna say like a fuzzy kitten or something.
Oh, or a fuzzy kitten. That would be adorable, where you just draw the outline and just kind of use this. So take this week to really have fun with texture, okay? And using this sponge, this super cheap, everybody has them in their house, tool that can really make your art pop. I hope you guys had a great time. I can't wait to see your pieces. Don't forget to get included into our drawing so you can get some free art supplies. And oh, real quick before we leave. So I don't know if all of you know that Miss Jessica is now a published illustrator. I'm very excited about this. The Ziegler Art Museum is actually hosting a book signing event, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the 29th. We're going to be live on Facebook all day, and we'll be here in person. We're going to do some art projects that are themed after the book. The author, who is local here, Miss Celia Jo Black, she's going to be reading the book. We're going to do a ton of fun things. We're having an an alligator hunt around town, kind of like we did the bear hunt. Oh, thank you. So she handed me one of the books. So this is the book, Antoine and Friends Go to France. And this was based on a really cute story, actually true events that happened here at the Ziegler Art Museum. So, and it includes the Gator Chateau. I really want you guys to join us on the 29th. Look for our Facebook event. Most of it's going to be live online. We will be open, so if you purchase a book that day, we'll sign it live for you and send it out. It's going to be super cool. If you can't wait until the 29th, Miss Celia and I will be this Saturday, the 22nd, at Steamer Trunk signing books. So if you want to come see us there, we'll be excited. So everybody, I hope you guys had a great time. Keep creating. I can't wait to see your beautiful stuff. And we'll see you here Tuesday for our prize drawing.
Before we turn off the video, go find us on YouTube. You'll find all the videos that we've been posting. It's just Ziegler Art Museum, and subscribe so that you get notifications. There's also a way to turn on notifications for our live videos so that you don't have to wait until later.
Oh, on Facebook. Facebook will tell you when we go live. That's right. That's an amazing feature. So look for that when you're on our page.
I think it's in our follow settings. You can make it let you know every time that we're live.
All right.
But that's it.
All right. Thanks everybody. You guys keep creating. Bye.